Hi there! Today I'm going to show you how to make a typical Venezuelan dish called Pabellón Criollo. And you're going to start with marinating your meat. You can use a flank steak or a round roast. And marinating is very important to help tenderize a tougher cut of meat, such as this round roast that I have right here. It also helps to add flavor and seasoning to any foods before you cook them. So I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to marinate this meat in a few seasonings here, and then tomorrow I am going to make the rest of the dish. So for this recipe, I have a tablespoon of cumin, paprika, and turmeric, and that's going to go into my deep dish. I have my steak here, and I have a tablespoon of pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt. I am going to make sure that I am ready to go with everything I need, have all of my seasonings in place. I've already washed my hands, have my apron, and I'm keeping it safe and sanitary as possible. I am going to season this meat with my salt and pepper, already measured out. And then I'm going to make my marinade. I'm adding a drizzle of olive oil to my cumin, paprika, and turmeric. Just going to whisk that up. You want it to be close to a liquid. It'll sit overnight with a cover on it in the refrigerator. Make sure I get cleaned up and get that done properly. And then we'll check in back tomorrow to finish the dish. All right, welcome back. We are going to move on to the next step of continuing with our Pabellón Criollo, a Venezuelan national dish. Our beef has been marinating overnight in its rub. That's been in there for quite a long time, about 15 to 20 hours. And I'm going to sear that. So I'm going to brown that on both sides and just get some heat to the outside. It's going to continue to cook low and slow in the oven for a couple of hours. But before I start that, I'm going to get everything else ready that I need. I'm going to need to slice up some onion in thin slices, as well as some green pepper sliced. I'm going to need 2 to 4 cloves of garlic. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm going to probably pop in a couple extra there. I'm going to chop those up. I have some diced tomatoes here and some tomato paste mixed into a cup of water. So I diluted that a little bit. I'm going to get everything ready. I'm going to get started here chopping up my garlic and slicing my peppers and onions. And then I'm going to get started with searing the meat once everything else is ready, and I'll cook it in the oven for about 2 hours. I'm going to sear on both sides. Make sure this pan is hot with your oil already in it, and I'm going to cook it for a minute or 2 on either side. It's not going to fully cook the meat. We're just going to sear the outside, get it a little bit brown on the outside. Garlic whole so that I could easily cut it into small pieces just with my garlic press. Anytime a recipe asks for chopped garlic or minced garlic, this is a very easy way to do so. Very safe as well. Keeping your fingers away from the blade when you're mincing up garlic can be really tough. So I opt to go for the easier route whenever a recipe allows me to. Make sure this all gets mixed into my oil and juices and seasonings that were left in the pan. We'll let that cook for about 4 or 5 minutes and then move on to my next step. carefully cover this. This pan, this cast iron pan is hot everywhere. So I'm gonna use oven mitts to cover this with foil. When my temperature reaches 375, I'm gonna pop this in the oven for 2 hours, keeping it covered. And then we're gonna check on it. It should be completely tender and delicious later on. All right, so it's been 2 hours and I'm ready to take a look at the meat. Let's first make sure we turn off the oven. Open your oven door all the way. Very carefully bring that to your stovetop. Close your oven door. And this is going to be very hot, so remove your lid carefully and be careful of steam as well. And the next step here, what I'm going to do, it's going to take me a while, but I'm going to shred this meat. So you need 2 forks, and all you're going to do is use 1 fork to hold it in place, and the other fork is going to be used to separate the meat into strands. Okay, so you're just going to keep working at that until it is all fully shredded up. You'll mix it in with your sauce, and I'll show you the next step in a moment. You want to mix it around in the remaining sauce that's in your pan. Make sure everything's fully incorporated, and then you are ready to serve it up. Now, a traditional Pabellón Criollo from Venezuela will be plated with some black beans as well as some rice, maybe some avocado as well, maybe some plantains, even an arepa, if you have that or you want to make that. My plating is going to be very important here. Put my rice next to it. And lastly, my beans. And there you have it. This dish has been said to represent the colors of the Venezuelan flag, which is why it's sometimes served like this in rows. It has been served many, many different ways. So however you want to be creative with your dish, you are welcome to be creative with it. If you tried out this dish, please let me know. I'd love to hear any comments or reviews you have in your experience in making the Pabellón Criollo originating in Venezuela.